Hi guys, so yesterday I posted a video just talking about how to differentiate between normal and acceptable levels of anxiety and problematic levels of anxiety. So I'm just going to add a little bit more to that today and discuss ways in which you can tackle your anxiety if it is causing you major issues. Now, the thing is, a certain amount of anxiety is inevitable, and in fact, it's actually good for us. It helps us develop introspect, it helps us be aware. And people who struggle with anxiety have some incredible attributes, such as they tend to be empathetic, they tend to be high functioning, they tend to be altruistic, they tend to be caring. So, there's a lot of good there. It's not all bad. That being said, it can be extremely debilitating and can ruin so many aspects of a person's life if it goes untreated or if you just let it run riot. That being said, it's not that easy to tackle. However, these are some ways in which you can approach it. So, first of all, you have to understand that your anxiety is the result of your fight or flight system in play. So, basically, adrenaline has been released into the bloodstream. You're getting these powerful messages to either run for the hills, freeze, or fight a good fight. And this is the reason why we tend to want to avoid things that trigger us or that cause us anxiety, because it's a really uncomfortable feeling that is calling on us to act and we're not actually sure what to do. And so as a result, we tend to avoid dealing with things, or we tend to just distract ourselves with something else. We find a way of soothing ourselves so we don't have to face into the reality. However, when we try to avoid what is causing us anxiety, we actually exacerbate the problem. We make it so much more heightened because generally it's going to recreate itself again and again until we actually face into it. So the first element I would recommend when dealing with your anxiety is to look at it and to try and provide some relief. So oftentimes when we're having very anxious thoughts, we're trying to exert control over a circumstance over which realistically we have none, and all this does is keep us in a state of worry, and ultimately the amount of energy we consume worrying about something that was never under our control to begin with, or never even likely to happen sometimes, is ridiculous. So there's so many more fruitful ways in which you can invest your energy. It's about asking yourself, okay, what's the worst that's actually going to happen here? And I know when people are anxious about their relationship, or they're anxious about a situation at work, and it's like, what if, and it's that kind of ongoing obsessive thought that keeps us very stuck. Whereas if we say, okay, realistically, if I lose my job, I just go find another one. Okay, it's not a nice thing to happen, but realistically, it doesn't mean the end of the world. If I lose my relationship, yes, I'll be extremely hurt. Yes, I will take a little bit of time to bounce back, but I will be able to cope, and it's about actually facing up to the reality of the situation that it is that you're running from, and realizing that potentially it's not as bad as you're making it out to be. It's then about being mindful, being accepting of your anxiety. I mean, oftentimes our mindset when we're experiencing anxiety is, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. I know mine is anyway. And you literally just feel angry. You want to exert control. You just don't know where to go with the feelings. Whereas if you can accept the fact that you are always going to have certain emotional triggers, and that you are always going to experience a certain amount of anxiety, and sit with it and be mindful with it and be present with it, then it has less of a power over you. I mean, literally, the more you try to control agitation, the more agitated you become. And this is kind of where the whole vicious circle thing comes from, because basically our anxiety fuels more anxiety, and then we're thinking about getting anxiety, which makes us even more anxious, and you get the picture. So I mean, it's about, I suppose, recognizing the fact that you are that little bit more prone to anxiety, but knowing that you'll be able to cope with it. It's important as well to challenge your self-limiting beliefs and your internal critic. I mean, there's always going to be a voice in your head that is telling you the worst case scenario, that is giving you the worst version of yourself. And it's about being able to tap into the negative thoughts and the negative voice and challenge them. And oftentimes that means, okay, just say a scenario, a person is going to cheat on me, or my boss is going to hate what I do. And it's about taking that thought and asking yourself, okay, do I actually know 100% factually that thought to be true? And then asking yourself again, do I 100% know that thought to be true? And if you don't, then you have no reason for holding on to it. Ask yourself then, how helpful is it for me to hold on to this thought? And how could my life look potentially if I choose to let it go? And generally you'll find that you're actually able to take the thought and turn it completely on its head, that potentially the opposite could be true. In other words, your boss could love your idea, or your partner could be completely infatuated with you. And it's about, challenging things as opposed to letting the mind go off doing its own thing, creating the worst case scenario, which our mind will do because of all of these negativity biases that it creates. And that's not our fault, but it is our responsibility to get on top of them. Then next up, practice kindness, compassion, and forgiveness. I mean, ultimately, it's not your fault that you're experiencing anxiety. However, it is your responsibility to show up for yourself with kindness, compassion, and understanding, and to help yourself through it. So as you work through your anxiety, be sure to be very nice to yourself, because sometimes you're going to be successful. Other times you're going to fall flat in your face. I'd get real cocky sometimes. I'd be like, I'm having a great run now. I haven't felt anxious in ages. I've felt really well on an emotional and mental level. And then the next day, splat, there I am on my knees again. But that's just the nature of the beast. And sometimes you have to just accept it, exert a little sense of humor to it, and just go along for the ride. So there are just a few tips for how you can help approach your anxiety. If you'd like to work with me on anxiety or any other mental health issue that you may be experiencing, get in touch on the website. It's fundamentals.ie. You will also catch me on Facebook and Instagram. Both of those pages are called Fundamentals. For anyone who's interested in listening to my podcast with Neil O'Brien, check it out. It's called Touchy and Feely. It's available on iTunes and Spotify. Check it out. Like, share, subscribe. Let us know what you think. And if you want to check out my YouTube page, it has loads of content on mental health, anxiety, all things postnatal depression, and how to live a more fulfilling, satisfying life. Excuse the wheezing. I just have a bit of a throat, chest infection. So go check it out. Like, share, subscribe. If there's any particular issue you'd like to hear me discuss, please do not hesitate to ask. Have a great day.